Hey guys, so I'm flying out the F8F-1B, where you got Dink in the squad flying his P-80, who did I just outrun him? Yeah, I did. Lol, lol, oh whoops, alright. So we're back to the replay system. I'm gonna try filming more games live, but I was flying in the squad and just derping around. We also got Luftwaffe! Yay, isn't he goofy? He's also in the back hat. As you can see, I'm perfectly awake right now. It's so quiet. So anyway, how are you supposed to fly the F8F-1B? It's just a massively underpowered plane, almost impossible to do well in. I'm kidding, it's not that hard. I fly it like it's a D9 because I love the 190 D9 so much. I just default to flying everything like it. I climb to altitude. Gonna go back to military power because this thing overheats like crazy, and I'd also like to save my water injection. Unfortunately, this plane's, when you're at 100%, the plane actually throttles all the way back to cruise power. So basically you can chill at cruise power, or you can go where emergency power and overheat your engine. There's no in between on this aircraft unless you have a manual throttle. And even then, it uses its water injection even on the low WEP settings, which is not even vaguely realistic, but whatever. It's fine, they'll fix it at some point. It's just a minor oversight. So I'm just climbing in altitude, just derping, just derp, 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 derp. We're fighting the Russians, which means a lot of low altitude aircraft, no high altitude aircraft, to my knowledge. In theory, they could get a P-63 in here, but even the P-63 is just a mid-altitude plane, which is great because this plane itself is a medium-altitude plane at the very most. And even that's a little iffy, if we're to be honest. This plane does not have a good supercharger. But it does have a supercharger, which is better than nothing. And so we've got a bunch of our allies circling back here. Dink's zipping around high speed, low altitude, telling us there's people there. He was being chased by an IL-28 for quite a while. Fast planes, but the American jets are faster. Some of the British jets are slower. Almost all of the early Russian jets are slower, but the Russians don't fight other Russians. The Horton 229, I'm pretty sure, is slower, especially at low altitude, and it doesn't have the climb rate to get to high altitude anyway. So I just flew through. I'm just looking at the targets. You can see I'm right at my rip speed, so I'm going to throttle back up to military power and zoom climb. I don't want to give up this much energy this early. If I end up at low energy, low altitude, the Russian aircraft are at the very least equal with this plane. Well, I should say it's the other way around. There's the Law 9. The Law 9 is actually one hell of a threat to this plane when you're pretty much at sea level, but anything over like 2 kilometers and the plane starts to struggle. Well, this plane you need to get up around 4 or 5 kilometers to really struggle. And there's an Illusion 28, who I'm pulling off of because I don't want his tail gunner to eviscerate my anus. But at the same time, he's not really outrunning me as much as I was expecting him to. If he was a good pilot and he didn't bleed all his speed, he'd definitely be outrunning me. You also notice we spend almost this entire fight over their airfield, but I'm a brave man. We can take it. There's a TU-2 back there. It's going to become relevant later. So I was considering chasing him, but I don't really want to chase him, so I'm going to do a low speed loop. Going to see if I can bait one of these guys to prop hang at me for my teammates. Nope, they're all smart, except for the TU-2. The TU-2 is trying to prop hang me, which is hilarious. TU-2 is Soviet best air superiority fighter. I'm amazed he didn't just die. I'm amazed he still hasn't died. Still hasn't died. Still hasn't died. I'm not sure how he hasn't died, but yeah, he just died. So the F8F is one of the best planes in this game at doing the dopa ropes because it can, even at low speed, it can loop around on its enemies so fast. Can I do it again? Can I dopa rope another one? Nope, he's not even coming after me. Oh, I don't think I've seen him yet. If I would have seen him, I could have just looped and boom, he's dead. I really do love this plane. It's a super great low-speed plane, but it also has some pretty good dive and zoom characteristics if you don't turn too hard while you're at speed. Basically, this plane, there are 2 modes this plane can be played at. I like to dynamically switch between the 2 of them. One of them is a high-speed B&Z plane, a lot like a D9. It's not quite as good as it, but it's acceptable. And you do very gentle turns, very slow maneuvers, and you never turn hot, fast at high speed. I could have turned with him. I could have cut throttle and followed him, but I mean, I killed him, so I didn't have to. But instead, I'm going to do a nice, gentle, slow, careful. And he pulled up that Yak 9T, decided he was going to try and... Oh, it's a UT. I thought he was a Yak 9. I thought he was a Tier 3 plane who had derped into this match. Did not realize he was actually supposed to be in this match. Poor Russians. They really don't have any... Oh, they don't really have any really great Tier 4 planes anymore. That would have been embarrassing as all hell, wouldn't it? There are a lot of planes that are competitive to the Bearcat, and other than the Law 9, none of them are Soviet. So, fighting the Russians, it's actually pretty sad. All of that Soviet bias, or the Russian bias stuff, it really died in this most recent patch when they nerfed the crap out of pretty much all of the Russian high-tier planes. Even the Law 9's nowhere near as good as it was, even though it's still pretty good. It still accelerates like mad, but it doesn't turn that well. And while it is extremely fast at sea level, anything above sea level and a lot of other planes, like the Bearcat 1B, will catch up to it. I think the Bearcat, if you are really aggressive with its engine management, you might even be able to catch them at sea level. So at this point, I killed... I wasn't even paying attention. I think I killed a Yak 9, which is kind of like clubbing kittens. I killed an IL-28 that can be very difficult to kill if they're smart, but he was slow enough I was easily able to catch him, so kind of like clubbing a kitten. And what was it? The Tu-2. The Tu-2 actually is one of the best air superiority fighters in the game. Unfortunately, that one, he did it dumb. So again, I'm just gonna pull up behind him, being gentle, trying not to bleed too much speed, and gotcha. Pull up before his tail gunner gets revenge for him anyway. So that's my 4th kill. God, this is such a lazy fat plane. Just oh, da, 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 da. I really want to be all, look at me, look at all the kills I'm getting, but at the same time we're fighting Soviets and they don't have any Law 9s, so I mean, you can say whatever shit you want about how horribly over-tiered the German planes are, and there are some like the 262 that are pure comedy, but the Doras, compared to all of the Tier 4 Soviet props other than the Law 9, it's pretty bad. I mean, the Russians really don't have any great Tier 4 props anymore. It's kind of sad. And well, there are plenty... Oh, Law 9. Speak of the devil. Speak of something that's actually somewhat competitive against me. But only at very low altitudes, and I have an energy advantage, so... The Law 9 doesn't work very well at an energy disadvantage, but it only works well at sea level, so they tend to end up at an energy disadvantage, which really sucks for them. They can be just as effective as a Dora if they're patient, if they side climb, and wait for the entirety of the enemy team to get below them. But this guy, he's prop hanging. Not a very good low-speed maneuvering plane. Bearcat has very little cannons, saving plenty of time to pull up. It might look like I'm about to hit the ground, but I'm in a Bearcat. This thing turns ridiculously well, even at speed. So, but, well, I did just give up a huge amount of energy doing that, but that was the last guy. 5 kills. The only competitive plane on their team really was derping a bit at the end and was going like at least 4 on 1. So, you know, yay! Look how great I am. 5 kills against planes that weren't very hard to kill. Woot! So basically, this wasn't the best example of how to do well in a Bearcat. Basically, just treat it like a boom and zoom plane, but if you end up at low speed with another aircraft that's also at low speed and they're not a Spitfire, you can probably outturn them too. So, you know, Bearcat, it's a great plane. Woo!